The 2.742465753424658 Arabian years. When Ash felt depressed, she cried enough tears to rehydrate all of the deserts in Arabia. This unfortunately did not drown all the Jews there because they were really good at building boats and rising above the tides. One night, Ash was so depressed that she pulled an anvil out of her pocket and jumped into the sea of her own melancholy. Amir, partly out of self-preservation, but mostly out of being a good friend, de-escalated the situation by opening his mouth and doing metalcore renditions of Quranic verses, something that made Ash stim excitedly. He coaxed her out of the salty depths, then encouraged her to get help. Ash resisted at first, but like a Middle Eastern underdog nation, succumbing slowly to the military and technological might of a globally sanctioned aggressor that employs necropolitical fascist geostrategy, she eventually decided to pick up her Nokia 105 cell phone and dial the suicide hotline. A woman with a soft voice answered. She identified herself as Scheherazade, then asked Ash for her name. Ash, who had taken up cigarettes, blew a thick cloud of smoke into the phone receiver. Scheherazade got a face full of the young terrorist, and it settled on her like the people dust that fell from the North and South World Trade Center towers. She furrowed her brow and nodded and listened. It was only a matter of time before Ash started crying into the phone, so Scheherazade, industrious and prepared for anything, put on a life jacket. Eventually, two hands reached through the line and grasped to strangle her, annoyed by the ego check of prevailing level-headedness. Ash hung up furious. 2 minutes later, she called back, vibrating Scheherazade's ringer with a ferocity that made it sing an opera dirge, one of those where the Nordic dudes performing it always sound fucking angry. Ash poured all her cruelty and malice into the ring, a less powerful Sauron striving to exert control in her middling earth. But Scheherazade answered with the Xanax calm, allowing the embers of her client's temper to simply burn up her eyebrows. When Ash had been worn down by the attrition of kindness, when she was reduced to slurs and a couple sobs, Scheherazade reached into the receiver and started to tug upon the younger woman's ear, entering it with her voice as though it was a cave of wonders. And behold, it was. A thought bubble billowed up from Ash's head, and in it was painted the grandest collage of fictions and realities, and might-bes and could-bes, a pasture so green that it made Ash Hamas green with envy over this alternate self-portrait being constructed. Her, but better than where she was at right now, in this lonely desert. Her, but with some purpose besides scimitaaring Jews. Her, contented in some posh, cozy mine castle, free from the over-under of stimulation needs, and the castle has cats in it, and a flaming fire that watches her in love instead of in ambush. Such beauty. A land where little at leasts and could be worses were blooming like King Cotton. There was so much cope in this land, honestly, that the smiley locals were rolling it up and spitting it. And when Scheherazade had finished the tale, Ash felt better. She felt, understood. She thanked Scheherazade for the stay of execution and hung up. Ash hugged Amir, so herself, then went to sleep. The fade to black of darkness wasn't menacing, it was just darkness. But the next night, as she wound down in bed, the dark had stars in it, artifacts. A reversal of the concept of black pixels on a television. The television that she couldn't bring herself to watch due to the constant glare. The next night, more stars. Then on nights that followed, the black was teeming with them. In time, she was inconsolable again. One night, the stars reached critical mass and marched into the same ear that Scheherazade had bent. They started fissioning up negativity like little Los Alamos scientists stealing pieces of the sun to throw at the Japanese.
Power has been loosed against those who brought war to the Far East.
To douse the light, Ash rolled up her sleeve, carved a tunnel into the flesh on her arm with a razor, and then walked into it, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but neither do your thoughts when you're depressed as fuck. Amir tried to follow, but when he did, it wasn't a tunnel. It was just flayed skin. He wrapped around the wound tight, soaking up the blood so that vampires couldn't prey on his friend. And inside Ash's tunnel, the bright light of a train.